The greatest demon lord, Barbados, was so powerful that after eliminating all the evil gods, he became really bored because there's no enemies left to fight. He also got sick of everyone's dick riding and clout chasing due to his godly status, so he decides to reincarnate 3,000 years into the future as a regular boy named Ard, with a normal family. Even though Ard is no longer the demon lord, he still kept his memories and his ability for magic and martial arts. When he turned 10, his parents ask him about his goals, and he decides that he's going to make new friends because he spent his new life being a nerd and his past life being a god. So he looks out the window to see some boys playing, and he just stares at them hoping they'll become friends with him. But they just get creeped out and go away, leaving Ard confused. Ard goes outside to try again, and when he comes across some girls, he feels social anxiety for the first time and breaks down. The girls walk by and look at him like he's a crackhead, and they run away from being creeped out too. Ard then calls out to them to no avail, then he falls to his knees, reminiscing how he went from being a god slayer to being a kid who got left unseen in real life. So he takes out his anger by using magic to blow up the nearby woods and cause deforestation. Later, the town mayor, Sir Alhide, tells him that he just needs to be kind and respectful to make friends, and Ard runs away to try this. He finds the girls again and starts simping for them hard, but they still find him weird, so they run away once more. While he's filled with anger from rejection, a bear comes behind him, so he snaps his fingers and burns it to a crisp. Then he hears someone nearby screaming, so he flies up to find a little girl fighting a wolf with magic. Ard watches as the girl unleashes a lightning spell on the wolf, and after it gets disintegrated, he walks up to compliment her on her magic and awkwardly asks if she wants to become friends, but the girl starts crying and runs away, leaving Ard's DMs dry again. The girl runs back to her dad, who Ard is surprised to find out is Sir Alhide. The next day, Ard chases the girl down the street, calling her Ireena, and she asks how he knows her name, and Ard says her dad told him. After chasing her all the way home, he tries to give her roses while making comments about her body, which gets his ass burned. At night, Ireena goes out to electrocute a bear, and Ard is there again and continues with the simping and fails for the 100th time. While Ard is back laying in bed, depressed, he hears loud commotion outside and a bunch of goblins come out to terrorize the town. His father quickly charges in to cut down the monsters, and Sir Alhide comes to tell them that Ireena is still out in the woods alone, so Ard flies to the woods to retrieve her, and the fathers are shocked because they didn't know he can fly. Ireena is surrounded by goblins who threaten to eat her, but turns out, this girl is suffering from severe depression, from being bullied growing up, and she's having suicidal thoughts, so she tells them to just kill her and end her suffering. The goblins then go, "Alright bet," and jumps at her, but suddenly gets stopped by a force field which blows them away. The big goblin looks up to see Ard, who comes down and telepathically electrocutes all the mini goblins. The leader then sends the last two goons to attack, but Ard simply blinks them away. Big goblin now shits himself and runs for his life, but Ard blinks him out of existence as well. After the threats eliminated, Ard continues to pursue Ireena as a friend, but she cries about being suicidal and lonely and depressed, so Ard reassures her that he'll always be there for her, and she begins to accept him as a new friend. Years later, while Ard is laying in bed, Ireena sneaks into his room and surprises him. Ard then madly tells her to always knock before coming in because she might walk in on him wanking. Then Ireena asks Ard to join the Academy of Magic with her. At the academy, after they take a test, Ireena's happy to see she passed, but Ard cannot find his name on the board. Just as he begins to get nervous, Ireena spots his name, but Ard is shocked to see that he scored 0. Luckily, the headmaster comes behind him to reassure him that he got a 0 because his answers are so 10,000 IQ, they transcend the bounds of modern magic. Then he lets everyone know that Ard and Ireena are special because their parents are the heroes who destroyed a resurrected evil god years ago. So it turns out Ard wasn't reincarnated as a regular boy after all. Inside the classroom, Ard gets annoyed to experience the same dick riding from everyone, just like back when he was the demon lord. Then he spots a succubus girl being bullied by a guy who accuses her of sucking off a teacher to get accepted in this class. Then he smacks her down. Ireena and Ard then tell him to stop being a woman beater, and the bully says to Ard, "If you have a problem, let's take it outside." Ard agrees, and Ireena warns him that this guy is actually good at magic, so be careful. Then, a furry teacher named Olivia steps in the room, and Ard recognizes her as one of his top generals from back when he was a demon lord, and Ard doesn't want her to know he's the reincarnation, but she just encourages Ard and the bully to have a duel for her own entertainment. So they go outside to scrap, and the bully uses his magic to blow up Ard, but he comes out unscathed. This makes the bully super mad, so he launches an even bigger assault by trying to burn him, but Ard simply puts up a barrier then casually neutralizes the flames. After talking some smack, Ard Uno reverse cards the bully's same attack back on him, except Ard's is way more powerful, and this forces the bully to yield, so he mercifully stops his attack with a snap. The bully is surprised that he didn't take much damage while Ard stands over him to tell him he's a bitch. Then Ireena turns into a feminist and tells him about respecting women. Olivia then confronts Ard about how he was able to secretly cast another spell in the fire to protect the bully from being vaporized. Ard is shocked she noticed this and tries to brush off the advanced technique of casting 2 spells at once, and Olivia begins to catch on that this boy is built different. For their first lesson, Olivia tells them to form into groups of 3 and everyone wants to be with Ard, but he decides to go with Ireena and Ginny, the girl who got bullied and smacked. Olivia tells them their mission is to skin a black wolf's hide in a dungeon, and Ard quickly gets on with it. As they come across the wolves, Ginny pisses herself with fear, but the 2 child prodigies use only one finger to shoot fire, which cremates the wolves. But Ard then realizes that he needed to skin it, not turn it to ash. Ginny then becomes sad that she's weak and useless, so Ard offers to teach her his magic. A wolf then shows up again, and after Ard draws some magic circles to deal with it, the girls question what kind of magic he used, and he tells them it was his own technique he invented, and the girls are like, WTF, you must be using cheats. Ard assures them that he'll easily teach it to them, and 2 minutes later, Ginny already learnt the technique and uses it on a wolf. Then out of gratitude, she hugs Ard's arm, which makes Ireena jealous, so she hugs his other arm. Then the floor suddenly opens up and drops them right into a cave with a giant monster. But because Ard is still so godly, he easily stops the beast's attack with one finger, then uppercuts it to the roof. While both the girls are turned on to see him in action, he continues to lecture them on how to do circle magic and summons a bunch of lasers to take down the beast. He then asks Ginny to finish the thing off using what he showed her, and she uses one finger to nuke the beast into oblivion. After they get back with their class, Ginny tells Olivia about Ard's teachings, and the bully comes along again and accuses her of sucking off Ard. This makes Ginny mad, and she smacks him down for revenge. Ireena then pours a bunch of trash over his head, and this officially ends his career as a bully. Ginny and Ireena then turn lesbian for each other while Ard watches with a proud little smirk, but unfortunately his naughty fantasy gets interrupted by Olivia, who wants to have a little chat. She brings him to the headmaster, who tells Ard that he wants to use his magic to raise money for the academy, and Ard calls him a gold digger and leaves. In the hallway, Ginny happily runs up to him and asks him out on a date. Ard takes a moment to think, but when he sees her bouncy boobs, he couldn't resist and agrees to go on a date with her. Suddenly, Ireena comes out of nowhere to try cock-block Ard from going out with Ginny. So Ginny offers her to come on the date as well, and tells Ireena that she thinks Ard deserves a whole harem of women like Dan Bilzerian. This blows Ireena's mind because she thinks that's weird, but Ard didn't know he was such a Chad. The next day, Ginny made sure to wear a dress that exposes her boobs to rizz up Ard, and they go to the theater for their date. While they watch a reenactment of Ard's past life as the Demon Lord, Ginny hugs his arm, pressing her boobs on him, and Ard tries not to get a boner. Then Ireena does the same thing, and Ard tries his hardest to not get turned on by someone who's practically his stepsister. After the show, the 2 chicks get really possessive over him, and while they walk down the street, even prostitutes are turned on by the Chad. But as they come by an alleyway, they overhear some guys in hoods plotting. So Ard and the girls decide to follow them down the drain into the sewage system. They walk towards a light and witness some satanic ritual-looking ass thing, then immediately get caught. Ard confronts them about what they're doing, and the hooded dude casts a spell that engulfs Ard in fire, but the idiot quickly realizes that he isn't burning, and Ard uses his own magic to destroy the ritual. Then with a single snap, Ard summons magic that electrocutes all the goons with the one guy left, who then reveals his true form, growing horns and wings, turning into a literal demon, and he shoots lightning into the roof to break a hole and flee. Then, to the shock of the girls, Ard also starts flying. As the demon travels up the tunnel, Ard follows behind him and casts a spell that burns his cheeks. After getting above the surface, the demon kidnaps a little girl to hold her hostage and warns Ard to not attack. Ard then asks him to show him the hostage, and the demon realizes that the little girl has already returned to her parents. Turns out, Ard was just trolling him with illusion magic. Now scared shitless, the demon fires a little lightning at Ard, then flies for his life. As he's fleeing, Ard aims magic at him like a sniper, then fires a huge beam which completely vaporizes the demon. Back on the ground, the people celebrate Ard as a demon slayer wrong anime and throw him in the air. After the heroic feat, he was granted a visit to the queen, who thank him for his deeds. The queen then asks Ard if he wants to fuck her and get her pregnant. Her advisor is like, what the fuck is wrong with you, and Ireena also gets mad and calls her down bad. Ginny however says she's happy for her to be a part of Ard's harem, but Ard politely rejects the gift of her pussy and asks if she can increase the budget for his magic academy instead. The queen says she agrees, as long as Ard and Ireena works as one of her personal guards, and they also agree. Away from the palace, in another alleyway, hooded goons gather again to discuss how Ard is dangerous and plot on killing him using a world-destroying dragon. Subscribe and watch the next video to see what happens in the following battle.